Hi YouTube friends and family, I'm a survivor and thriver here. Guys, in the previous video, I discussed how a lot of people right now are pressure canning foods and how that's good in a lot of instances, especially pressure canning meats and dried beans, because those are the only two things that I pressure can. But I also discussed how a lot of people are neglecting the fact that nutrition is super important as well. In the YouTube community, a lot of folks like to say calories is king. Well, I say nutrition is the queen bee. So today we're going to have nutritional queen bee beets, and in other words, fermented beets. So I'm going to show you how I do it. To me, it's super simple. And just for now, I'm going to show you what I have now. I have the skin on beets. I have beets and carrots. Also beets and carrots. These two have no skin on them. This has no skin on it. This is beets and carrots. This one is the sauerkraut. It's the red cabbage. It has garlic and rosemary in it. And this one is the red cabbage sauerkraut, which has garlic and dill in it. Okay, so you'll find out that when you're making your own fermented foods, that you can add whatever seasonings or herbs or anything that you want in them. So I'm going to do a simple technique here. Well, actually, I'm just going to show you what I do to ferment my beets. And if you look in the back here, you see that I like to ferment other things too, like fruit and fruit juices and that type of thing. For instance, this is my peach wine that I need to ferment, that I need to rack, because as you can see, it's really clear until you get to the bottom. That's the sediment that I need to take the wine off of and put them in my bottles for storage. Okay, and as you can see in the back there, I have a whole bunch of other fermented fruit back there that needs racking and bottling. And if you guys are interested in that type of thing, just let me know. I'll share a few videos on how I do it. And so there we go. So back to the fermented beets. I already cut up about 6 small beets. I diced them up in these pieces here. And so what I do is I put my mason jar on my little scale, my scale that measures weight and grams and that type of thing. For my ferments, I always go with grams. All right, so the first thing I do is I put the funnel and the jar, this is a quart-sized jar, on the scale to zero it out. So now when I turn it on, it's going to be at 0, and right now it's at ounces, and so I'm going to change it to grams. All right, simple, right? All right, so I'm going to start putting these beets in the jar here, and I'm fermenting these beets because my uncle is elderly and he doesn't like to eat veggies. So he likes these, and so I make sure I make him a batch. All right, wow, that's perfect. All right, so we got that in there. The next step is I take this funnel off of here, and I take my jar and I put water in it. All right, so a lot of people say to use spring water, and they tell you not to use tap water. But what I do is I have a Berkey filter in my house that I filter out my tap water with, and that's what I use in my ferments, and it works just as well. All right, so I'm going to take the ferment. I'm going to take the jar with the water, and as you can see, we are at, let me zoom this in so you can see it really well. We are at 712 grams. Okay, so we're at 712 grams. So the next thing I do is I take my calculator and I multiply it by 2%. All right, so here's my cell phone. So I take 712 multiplied by 0.02, and that's giving me 14.24 grams. All right, 14.24. So instead of using measuring cups and spoons and that type of thing, I think this is the easiest way to do it. And you just go in there, you just put in there 14.24. So it's at 712. So if I add 14.24 to 712, that's going to get me 757 grams. 757, no, 0.4 grams. Okay, 757. Oh, what am I doing? I'm having a brain fart here. That's going to be 726.24 grams. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and measure it. Damn. Okay, 5. Keep going until it's 14. .2 grams. So now we're at 14 grams. Okay, 15 grams. So from here, what I normally do is put a weight on top. You could put a cabbage leaf on top as well, in case you don't have the canning weights. So I mix it up a little bit, as you can see there, and put on the weight. Hold on for 1 second while I go get the weight. Okay, I already have a weight. I was looking for my weights and I didn't have one readily available. So I'm taking a weight from one of my other ferments and putting it in here. I don't have any cabbage leaves, because if I had a cabbage leaf or a collard green leaf, I will put that on top of there, and that will work just as fine. So as you can see, the glass weight sits on here. I'll bring you in closer. See what it looks like on top there. Alright, so for my last ferment took 12 days for it to get the right taste that I like, and that's when I finished my last ferment at 12 days. A lot of people make you think that you have to get all of these expensive airlocks and all, you know, all type of different types of lids and that type of thing. That's so untrue. From my experience of making wine from half gallon size plastic containers, I know that if you squeeze the container, the lid jumps up and down, that you have enough openness to the lid so that if the ferment needs to expand and you know, if it leaks outside of the jar, then you allow that to happen for the air to get out of the ferment. So I just decided that I was going to use these plastic lids, these regular plastic lids, and what I do is I just screw it down a little, I mean, so that it's not tight. As you can see, that's not tight at all. I'm leaving it open, and when I do this, it jumps up and down a little, and that's all you need. So from there, I take a piece of masking tape. I put on there today's date and what's inside. So today is November 15th, and beets, and I put on here no skin. All right, and that's how you construct the ferment, guys. The magic number is 2%. So whatever your vegetable is that you put inside of the jar, as well as the water, you just multiply it by 2%, and that's how much salt you put in there. Like I said, you can put other herbs or seasonings or whatever you want in there to your taste, and you have a successful ferment. So in about 12 days, I'm going to check this to see if it's done, which more than likely it will be done. And this is the result you're going to get. So this one is the beets and carrots, and as you can see, we've been eating on this rather quickly because the taste is great. So what I do is I take this little jar with me to work, and I just fill it with the fermented beets. As you can see, that's what it looks like there. You only need like maybe 2 tablespoons of this fermented food a day. You don't want to overdo it for your nutrition. And I also put some of the liquid into the jar, and I drink that as well. And if you don't know, the liquid that these beets create is called kvass, and it's very nutritionally healthy for you. And so I also drink that as well. So if you want to see, take a look at the beets and the fermented juice that it creates. There it is. And just in case you guys want to ask me how does it taste, I'm going to taste it from behind the camera, and hopefully you can hear the crunch that's still in the beet when I taste it. Hear that crunch? This is absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. And like I said, what I just did, creating this beet ferment, is all you need to do. All right. So like I said, you don't have to buy a whole lot of expensive equipment. You know, just keep it simple. You could, I mean, if you wanted to buy airlocks and that type of thing. If you want to know what an airlock is, I'm going to show you on one of my wine ferments that I'm doing. This is an airlock with a stopper. You can do that, or you can just do what I did, just keep the lid loose to allow for any overflow. If you look, I also put all my ferments in this baking sheet here, and if you look inside, you can see that one of the ferments did overflow. And as a matter of fact, it was this one that overflowed. And having this here was a great call so that it could catch all of the juice inside of here. So it was maybe about 3 tablespoons that overflowed outside into this baking sheet, which was no big deal. And so that's what it was, and everything turned out great. I tried all the other ferments and everything else was a success except for this one. The only thing that I did different with this one was that I kept the skin on for these beets. And I'm going to show you what a healthy ferment looks like and what a not healthy and unsuccessful ferment look like. So this is the garlic and rosemary. If you look inside of the jar, I don't know if you could see it that well, but there's like some foam looking stuff, white foam that's gathered there. And that's a healthy ferment. Okay? Now I'm going to show you the difference. This one in the back that I was telling you, that was a fail. Show you what it looks like. You see that? It looks like I'm conducting a science experiment and I'm trying to make penicillin back there. You see that mold that's growing there? As well as there's green mold here on the inside. Anybody who makes their own ferments and you see that type of thing, please know that that is definitely a failure and you need to toss out all of the contents in there and clean out your equipment very effectively after that. So I just wanted to show you that you could do this too. It's super simple. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to feed it to my compost bin. Okay, but all the other ones were successful. Maybe if I had an airlock on there, it would have worked out better, or maybe it was just some bacteria in the skin that I didn't clean off well enough before I placed it in the jar. So I really don't know what happened, but it's all trial and error, and you'll have more successes than failures. And so again, I just wanted to show you how easy this was and to show you that you can do this too. And it boosts, fermented foods boost your nutrition exponentially, and it's just a powerhouse of nutrition that you get from fermenting your foods like this. Okay, so if you have any questions, leave them below, and we can all come together, and if I don't have the answer, I'm sure someone will, because I'm not the only one who ferments foods and drinks and that type of thing. So give you another look at my peach wine there. I am so proud of that peach wine. My brother brought me some peaches from North Carolina, and I decided to make wine out of them. So I did that with that, and I also have blueberry wine. I have different wines, as you can see on my table. This was formerly my dining room table, but now it's my fermenting table. I can see. All right, guys. So you know how it goes. If you want to be like me, I'm a survivor and thriver. Out.